What superpower would you love to have? Would it be invisibility, flight, or maybe teleportation like the character we're going to redesign today? Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And sometimes we need to create things to battle those threats. And in those cases, we need a super team. And I had a super team back when I was a little kid, way back in the 80s. I had a few different super teams, actually. I would design all kinds of characters. I would just sit on my floor in the living room, and I just belted out all these crazy different characters, and some of them were part of teams and everything. Yeah, that's just what I like to do, and then I grew up and I still like to do that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to do today. But we're going to go back and we're going to look at some of the old characters that I drew, and I've done two of these before. Two, and I hold up four. I mean two. And I'm going to do another one. So I dug back into some old drawings that I did, and I pulled out this character. Well, I've got a few different versions of them. So this is the first one. This is really hard to see. This is a comic book cover that I drew. Never colored it, never kind of took it to the finished product. But this character right here, I don't know, he looks, if you're familiar with Sunspot from Marvel's New Mutants, there was a character called Sunspot. And he was kind of just like a black void of a character, and around him he kind of had like lights and I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, so I kind of just, a lot of the characters that I did back in the days, I was just ripping off of other characters. So I created this character called Corridor, and basically, if you can see, here, let me show you another version here. So here, this is a little easier to see. So I did this poster of my super team, but if you look at that guy right there, look, he's just like space. So the idea was that he was just like a corridor to another dimension or time or space or whatever, so that's why he's called that. But if you, I guess if you step through him, you would go to another dimension. Or again, you can go through space or wherever. I guess I didn't give it much thought. But then I guess somewhere along the lines I thought, oh, it's kind of weird to like walk through a person, especially like if you're maybe a bigger person than the person you're walking through, or how would that work, or would he expand? I don't know. So I did a redesign. This is more current here. This was probably the last version I did of him. And you can see he's kind of got this red cape. And it's a little hard to see, but there's some stars in here. So the idea would be sort of like Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, where he could either wrap the cape around him and teleport maybe, or just hold the cape out and people could kind of go through it. Now, granted, this was drawn before Harry Potter was even an idea, but I'm sure there's got to be other characters that are similar to this. But he's, at this incarnation of this character, he's a little more like a Doctor Strange character, kind of a mystical type character. I don't know much. There is a little backstory behind him. It looked like it had something to do with Egypt and some powers that were granted to him or something, but it looks like I didn't finish the whole origin story. There's some little notes on the back here. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. We're going to look at this guy, and we're going to try to pick out some things we like, if anything, and try to take those and kind of give them a modern revamp. And if you've seen these before, you kind of know where I'm going with this, but so yeah, let's take good old Corridor here and kind of bring him into the new millennium, I guess. So let's get to it. All right, let's see what kind of redesign we can give this character, Corridor. And when I say that, I'm wondering to myself, is that, you know, that's the name I came up with when I was a kid, but is that a good name? I guess it's all right. I mean, it's the thing about naming superheroes is it's like all the names, it seems like everything's already been taken. And I know, like, and sometimes I don't really get, like, sometimes there'll be a character that has two characters of the same name, like there's Elastigirl from Incredibles, and there's also Elastigirl from Doom Patrol. And, you know, there's two Captain Marvels, although I think they kind of squared that away, so now I think Shazam is now Shazam, not Captain Marvel. But anyway, so sometimes so I don't know how that works as far as trademarks, but yeah, as far as Corridor, I don't know of any other heroes called that. But anyway, so I think it sounds okay, yeah, considering his his abilities and everything, but it is one of those things like, yeah, I mean, you're kind of, sometimes you scrape at the bottom of the barrel for names because all the good ones have been taken. But anyway, so right now what I'm doing is I am just kind of fleshing out the character in pencil. I'm using a Colorase. This is like a red or an orangish red pencil. I forgot exactly the color, but that's not as important. The color doesn't really. Usually I'll draw in blue. I'm using the red so you can see it more on camera because the light blue, non-photo blue doesn't really show. So anyway, so the first thing I do when I do one of these revamps, remakes, makeovers, whatever you want to call it, is I try to figure out what I do like about the original character. And as I said in the intro, he has a couple of different versions. One was just this sort of glowing body, this outline of a body like a silhouette, and inside you can kind of see space and everything. That could work, but I'm going with a little more the later version where he was, and I think I only did that one drawing of him with the cape and everything. And I don't know, his costume is pretty plain, so as you can see, I'm adding in some different things here, just to kind of make him a little more interesting. But the things that I do like, I guess I like the color scheme. I like the light blue and the dark blue, and the sort of the red cape. And he's got blonde hair. I might change his hair color, but that golden hair, I might add some more gold. Like you can see kind of this, I don't know what you would call this sort of headdress type thing. Sort of headdress. It kind of wraps around like shoulder pads and all that kind of thing that he's got going on right there. So maybe we'll do that gold. So in the original drawing, his hair is kind of exposed. He does have a mask. So I got rid of the mask, but I still wanted to keep some of his identity hidden. So he's sort of got, something covering his mouth. Because I think that still hides a little bit of your identity. So yeah, and I wanted to again add a little more. He did in the original. He has sort of a jewel on his chest, so I wanted to keep that. I kind of flipped it on its side because on the other one it's kind of flipped. It's like more vertical on the original. So I flipped it kind of horizontally, and I might have that sort of, maybe that's where. Maybe that works in conjunction with the cape or something. I'm not real sure. With this particular character, I don't know. I'm thinking he's more. I'm going to do him as more of an alien character. So whether he's either an alien or some sort of angel or some kind of being that's otherworldly. So I think I'm gonna change like his skin color and make that blue. So right now you can see he's shirtless. So we'll make, instead of the blue costume, we'll make his skin blue, and then he's sort of got some tattoos and stuff, and I think I'm going to introduce the color purple too. So I want to do mostly like cool colors like purples and the two blues, and then contrast that with the red of the cape, and then also the warm color of the kind of gold, as you can see, because I'm going to start filling in the character. But yeah, so we're going to color him, make him sort of an alien, and I'm thinking that this particular character might be, I don't see him as like a fighter. Like if this was a team, he would, I'm thinking he's very powerful. He can, like, he's otherworldly, so he's got these cosmic powers or something like that. He's very much, again, sort of my take on maybe a Doctor Strange or something, even though Doctor Strange is human. But I assume, I don't know if it's magical or cosmic or whatever, but anyway, so I picture him as somebody who is maybe not on every mission with this team. Maybe he just shows up from time to time. Maybe he's more reclusive. Maybe he stays to himself, and then when he's needed, like if they need to go to another dimension or if they need to teleport or something, maybe he shows up and helps. But I don't really picture him as somebody who's like down and dirty, like he's fighting with the rest of the team and everything. And there could be more to it than that. Maybe he's somewhat of a, I don't want to say like he's a pacifist, but maybe he doesn't want to interfere so much. So I don't know where he would fall. I mean, if I actually did anything with this team, I would have to think a little more about that. So anyway, things that I kept, again, I wanted to keep that cape. In the original drawing, it's kind of hard to see, but that sort of red cape, and what I'll do is I'll start filling in sort of that you know, cosmic space behind. And maybe that changes. Maybe it's not always space. Maybe if he's, you know, if he wanted to transport somebody to, say, a desert in Egypt or something like that, then maybe that's what you would see. But as a sort of a default, I think space kind of has a cool vibe to it. So if it's not any particular place, like if he's, you know, the default would be sort of space, just because it looks pretty cool. So the other thing I did, he didn't originally have that sort of belt, that sash and everything. He was kind of plain in a way. His costume, it's sort of, I don't know, it kind of had this block of dark blue and the rest was light blue, and then blue boots and everything. And he did have gauntlets, sort of like, or wristbands, I guess you could say. They're not technically like over his fingers. I don't know what the technical definition of gauntlet is. Actually, it's like a glove. But then some people say, you know, gauntlet as a trial. Like when they say you throw down the gauntlet, I assume that means you're throwing down the glove as a challenge. But then sometimes people say that, you know, you're going through the gauntlet. So that's something I have to research, because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it means glove. So I don't know if wristband's the same thing. That's neither here nor there. I'm just kind of going off on a crazy tangent. But anyway, so he's got the wristbands in the original, but they're just kind of like red cuffs. But I wanted to, again, tie that into some of the gold and everything, and add some gold to the costume. And as you can see now, I've kind of filled in some of the larger planets, and I'll go through, and then I'll start kind of stippling in with my white gel pen. And a lot of people ask me about that gel pen, what it is. It's a Sino gel pen. I forget who, Uniball I think makes them, and I believe there's a link. Almost all my videos do have links to the core tools that I use, so if you can remember, check that link first before you ask. If it's not in there, I'm happy to tell you, but yeah, a lot of that stuff that I use, a lot of the tools are always in the description, and there's links there if you need to find those particular tools. But yeah, so he's coming along. Right now I'm just adding in the little stars and everything, but yeah, I'm kind of digging the way he looks. He definitely has a little more character than before, and a little more interesting. Whether, you know, some of these things, who knows what they do? Who knows what the function of this thing around his shoulder pads and around the back of his head are? But I don't know, sometimes you just do things because they look cool. So, but hopefully he looks pretty cool. I think he looks all right. Okay, so here is the finished product. That is our new version of Corridor, and we can kind of compare that to the older version. Yeah, I think I'm a little more happy with it now. But you know, this was when I was a kid, so what's wrong with that? You know, you get better as you go, and I think that's, if there's any moral to any of this, or any lesson to be learned from any of this, it's just, you know, you got to start somewhere, and you just keep at it, and you'll get better and better. And you know, who knows, if I was to redo this character a few years down the road, he'd probably be, you know, even better. So I'm pretty happy with how he came out. But I'm curious to see what's going to happen if I take some of these other characters. So we'll probably do more of these. But yeah, if you've got old characters that you think are in need of a revamp, let me know. Tell me about some of your characters that you designed maybe a while back that you might want to revisit and everything. And I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here in the Art Lab. There's a lot of other great content on the channel, so click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing. If you're an aspiring evil genius, visit Serkworks.com for all your mad science supply needs. And if you want to contact me, hit me up in the comments section or follow me on social media. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you then.